Let's raise the big questions tonight. Is Pakistan simply pressing now the self-destruct button by raising the political temperature and warmongering? Is the Pak warmongering a sign of panic? Is Imran Khan playing to the gallery domestically? Is the army directing Pakistan's foreign policy almost completely? Is it time to bring down the rhetoric? To some of the questions we'll raise tonight. I'm joined by two very special guests, because tonight we have the Indian and Pakistani sides represented by two distinguished former High Commissioners. I'm joined in the studio by Sharad Sabharwal, Indian High Commissioner to Pakistan, and Ashraf Jehangir Qazi, former Pakistan High Commissioner to India. Mr. Qazi, welcome to the show. I want to ask you first, what are we to make out in this country when Pakistan carries out a surface-to-surface ballistic missile Ghaznavi just a day after we hear all these loud noises of a potential war that could take place between the two countries? Is your country warmongering, sir?
No, certainly not warmongering, but ever since August the 5th, a new situation has developed between our two countries, a situation which I would argue is almost the worst kind of relationship we've had, despite our many low points in many decades. And therefore the tension on both sides, along with the rhetoric and actions, have also increased. So I mean, now we see every development in a certain context. India is modernizing its military forces, and so is Pakistan. And of course, Pakistan does see an inherent risk of conflict in the current situation. I think the Prime Minister has made it absolutely clear he does not want a conflict. He does not want war. He has a mission to bring about a major transformation in Pakistan, for which he needs a peaceful neighborhood and good relations with all neighboring countries. And he has certainly extended the hand of cooperation and possible dialogue with India.
How does that square up? How does that square up, Mr. High Commissioner? Just a minute. How does what you're saying square up with the Pakistan Railway Minister Sheikh Rashid Ahmad claiming that a full-fledged war will be fought between the two countries in October, November this year?
I don't take responsibility for individuals. You've asked for my opinion.
Yes.
Rajdeep will give you my opinion. I'm not interested in your quoting people, because the atmosphere is so charged. I could quote any number of people in responsible positions in India who have given supercharged statements, and you know those statements better than I do. So I mean, I think we must try and see if there can be conversation between people who have had some experience of India-Pakistan relations and who have tried to work out a way of coexistence despite many differences, severe differences, and maybe these differences will persist. But so please don't quote the rhetoric which is naturally associated in such a time of hugely raised tension. I do believe the Prime Minister of Pakistan has not given such statements. He's talked about the ultimate possibility of bad scenarios in which nobody will win, and a scenario which everybody must try to avoid. I think he has been extremely balanced and extremely restrained in his comments, and that needs to be taken note of.
Okay, before I come to you, Sharad Sabharwal, since you are saying, Mr. High Commissioner Qazi, that you will not take account for individual comments of the likes of Sheikh Rashid, I just want to play for a moment what you said on a television show which has caused a bit of a stir in this country. Listen in, sir, because I think it's important that you tell us where you stand on this. Listen in for a moment. Just listen into this.
तस्लीम शुदे जो हकूक हैं उसके लिए मुजाहमत, उसके लिए आप यानी कि आर्म्ड रेजिस्टेंस भी करें, बंदूक भी उठाएं, तो वो जायज़ है। और उसके अलावा वो अगर मदद मांगे किसी मुल्क से अपने जायज़ मुजाहमत के लिए, जायज़ यानी जिहाद के लिए, तो वो भी इलीगल है।
You heard what you said there, and that's caused a stir. Here is a former High Commissioner, Mr. Qazi, you yourself, virtually saying an armed rebellion or a jihad in Kashmir is perfectly justified.
Well, of course, that's the position of the United Nations General Assembly, and indeed there are resolutions being passed in 1974 and 1982 that armed struggle in the event of forcible occupation and denial of the right of self-determination, which has been recognized by the international community in UN resolutions, armed struggle on behalf of those rights which have been forcibly suppressed is legitimate. These are resolutions adopted by the United Nations General Assembly, especially in, I forget the numbers, I don't know, in 1974 and 1982.
Saying violence is okay, sir. Are you telling me that you believe that violence is how then can there be a dialogue? How can you lower the temperature?
The violence is state suppression. The violence is state terror. The violence is state lawlessness. And everybody has an inherent right to resist such use of
the violence is also, sir, with due regard, cross-border terrorism and militancy.
No,
with
you're
due regard.
misinterpreting.
With due regard.
I had made it quite clear that I have no interest in such a discussion. I made it quite clear to your studio that I will have no interest in such a harangue.
I'm not haranguing you, sir.
You may do this with other people. I have already had an interview in which I said this to Karan Thapar, and I made the references to the UN General Assembly resolutions which recognize the inherent right of people to resist the forcible denial of their acknowledged right to self-determination. If you see this as a license for war and terror and all, you are mistaken. You are just refusing to see the law in its proper context. I am asking, and I'm telling you, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and I support him completely here, is seeking a peaceful resolution. But what has happened since August the 5th, all those possibilities have been wiped out. The possibility of dialogue has been cancelled. The Shimla agreement has been rendered almost dysfunctional. You know, if you look at its particular articles, and your own ministers are talking about, the only thing to talk about now is Gilgit, Baltistan and Azad Kashmir, which you call POK, and there's nothing else. Kis baat pe hum baat karenge? This is what your minister said, Mr. Rajnath.